Hey everyone, CW Music Reviews here. I'm CWD, and this is going to be a music review of the new Spoon album, Hot Thoughts. This is the latest full-length album of indie rock, experimental rock, alternative rock band Spoon. I believe they're on their 9th at this point. Can't say I've been that familiar with Spoon's work. During my explorations of indie music and alternative music way back when, there were quite a few bands in that realm back in the mid and late 2000s. Modest Mouse, Cage the Elephant, to an extent the Black Keys. But there really wasn't that much to what Spoon in particular was doing that interested me all that much. This is actually the first full-length Spoon album that I've listened to from beginning to end. So I wasn't sure what to expect when I went into this thing. Not that to say that I had negative expectations for this thing or what Spoon does in general. It's just that Spoon, like I said, wasn't really one of the indie bands that I was like head over heels for. So I gave this new Spoon album a try. I gave this thing numerous tries, and I gotta say, they definitely have finally garnered my interest. They have definitely piqued it, certainly. This is definitely going to be one of my favorite albums of this year. This album's about 10 tracks in length. It's 42 minutes long. So, pretty standard in terms of the song length, certainly. I definitely am pleased with how forward-thinking and accessible the album is in a sense. It doesn't even feel like it's 10 tracks. I feel like that the immediateness of a good chunk of these tracks here serve as the cornerstone to what makes Spoon's music so enjoyable and so infectious in a way. Take the opening track, Hot Thoughts. It definitely has quite a bit of a sensual-ish nature while simultaneously still maintaining that kind of indie rock sound. I do like the vocals on this track. There's definitely a sort of eccentricity to the vocals here. And this instrumental, it definitely is pretty solid, if not anything particularly new in a sense, but there's something about how catchy it is, how in a sense kind of progressive it is. It's layered just well enough in a way to make me love the track from beginning to end. The same goes for a track like Do I Have to Talk You Into It, which has this really mid-paced drum beats. The timbre sounds pretty nice. I do like how the production with this album is particularly cohesive. And I do like this weird sort of keys or some kind of horn that goes off every now and again. I'm not really 100% sure what that is, but it definitely adds quite a bit to it. Again, the hook is pretty catchy. Do I have to talk you into it? Do I have to make sense of it? The track First Caress has this nice driving rhythm to it, and all these sort of tongue-in-cheek vocals going on. I do like the up down piano that's all across this track. It's pretty catchy in that regard. The track Can I Sit Next to You has this nice groovy bass rhythm to it, and the vocals on this track, again, pretty nuts, pretty eccentric. There's not really any track here, with the exception of maybe a couple, that I can say does not have eccentric vocalization. One of them is an instrumental track, so that's not saying a whole lot. The track I Ain't the One is a ballad. I do like the really emotional feel to this track. Plus the off-kilter beats that come in after the first verse is particularly engaging, especially how the keys are feeling pretty looped on this cut. There's really not a single instrumental on this album that I dislike. Spoon, by this point at their career, they definitely have found a way to make particularly infectious indie rock. There's not really any reason I could think of where people could dislike any of this. Like the track Tear It Down, which starts off in this really slow kind of way before like really picks up all of a sudden. It's another ballad track that's kind of in this driving rhythm in a way, and it definitely has a kind of bit of a progression towards it that I like a lot. The piano chords on this track sound pretty dreary. I do like them. And the track Shotgun has some nice thick guitar layering to it, and the mid-paced groove works particularly well. That's one thing I can definitely say about a good chunk of these tracks here. A lot of these tracks have pretty much a similar tempo. in that regard, it definitely leads to a particularly cohesive project. The only few tracks that I can say don't really glide up into this, and these are actually some of the more experimental tracks, like the track Pink Up, which is pretty weird. I think it's the longest track on the record at over like 5 minutes, close to 6, I believe. Pretty much has this nice driving little marimba groove going on, the occasional drum fill going off, some keys layering off in the atmosphere, and the vocals here sound really off in the distance in a way. There's kind of a vocoder effect to what it is that's going on here. And on the tail end, there's some backmasked vocals. I wasn't sure if this was going to be my least favorite track or not, but after giving so many listens, it ends up being, one of my favorite tracks on the album. The closing track, Us, is really weird. It sounds like a really low-key, shoo-shoo instrumental B-sides thing that would have been off of their Nina album that didn't quite make it on their album. It has these really avant-garde-ish and kind of drony sax going on with like some wild drum fills that come up every now and again. The occasional marimba going on. There's actually quite a bit of marimba on this album. It's just a really weird way to end off the album, and it definitely works to its benefit. My least favorite track on the album is WhisperI'lllistentohearit. It really is just one word. And it's only because the track takes a little while to pick up. Plus, I do feel like they kind of sort of wear their Arcade Fire / Talking Heads influence on their sleeves just a little bit here. That's really it. I do like the rhythm here. I do like the groove here. There's a nice little guitar solo on the tail end that I dig quite a bit. I do like how it just progresses particularly well around the halfway mark of the track. There's just not really much of anything about any of these tracks that I can say that I dislike. Overall, this is a really good album from Spoon. I almost feel kind of bad for sleeping on Spoon's work at this point. I'm not sure if all their albums are similar to this, but as far as my enjoyment of this particular album goes, yeah, I definitely recommend it to people that are already big Spoon fans, indie rock fans, maybe kind of experimental rock bands. The guy who produced much of the Flaming Lips' work does production on this album, and yeah, like I said, he does a particularly interesting and particularly intricate job there. So if you're into his production work with Flaming Lips and a few others, then definitely check this album out. You'll get something out of it. Spoon had a moment to seize some guy that has never really been that interested in Spoon's work before and turn them into a fan. And they pretty much succeeded, I didn't expect for Spoon to put out an album that I would like or be remotely interested in, but they have blown those expectations straight up out of the water. This album is a plus 2.3 out of plus 3. I recommend this album quite a bit if you're a big Spoon fan, if you're an indie rock fan. If you like Arcade Fire, if you like Modest Mouse, if you like all those indie bands from the mid-2000s and onward, then you're definitely going to want to give this thing a try, because there's definitely something in it for you, certainly. If you give this album a listen, what did you think of it? Did you like this album? Did you dislike this album? What was your reasoning for that? And what you consider listening to and reviewing next? The CW Music Reviews here, signing off.